All of us here have been the products of prior to education, whether it was public, private, homeschool, or whatever else. More than likely, we could all reach the same conclusion about public school systems, that it's inconsistent. Your chemistry teacher in high school made you write in-depth lab papers, but your biology teacher showed the class Bill Nye the Science Guy videos and checked his email. Your school was able to afford a new flat-screen TV for the cafeteria, yet your world civilization textbook of yours has been in use since 1998. What causes such polarized differences within a system that should be highly structured? Is there not a way to solve this? There is a way, and it can be thoroughly applied.
Teacher training and lack of resources directly cause inconsistencies in America's public education system. Any school-age child can tell you that not all teachers are created equal. The main reason for this is poor teacher training. As a profession, teaching is not advertised as a glamorous or rewarding occupation. In fact, the media often depicts teaching as a grueling, thankless job with little pay. As a result, fewer teachers are entering the workforce as a result of pure passion. The poor pay and semi-negative connotations may generate less interest, which introduces fewer men and women into the educational workforce. Those who do join the field may be stunted by improper or misfocused training. Teachers are not necessarily taught to understand children's minds. Teachers must know not only how to teach, but how to understand the mistakes the children may make. For example, if a child calculates 7 times 7 as 14 rather than 49, the child is more likely to learn if he or she can be shown the exact error and taught to correct it, as opposed to simply being told to memorize and repeat the information. Ultimately, a teacher's motivation for becoming a teacher and the training they received has a critical impact on the student's educational life. The learning gap that develops between students with more or less qualified teachers also exists on an economic level. Issues with funding and resources can cause schools and learning to be inconsistent from one location to the next. For example, old textbooks with outdated information and poor technology can prevent children from learning at their maximum potential. Since school expenditures differ from location to location, some students are given the opportunity to learn in a modern context, while others are not.
As we have already mentioned, one of the problems contributing to the inconsistency of the educational system is the teacher training. Teachers are obligated to go to training. However, this does not guarantee a working relationship between student and teacher. Ineffective instructional and behavior training creates a distance between student and teacher. The causes of poor teacher training include factors such as lack of funding, no current national policy to help manage the labor force in teaching, and some districts' lack of infrastructure for preparing teachers. The lack of funding is due to the uneven distribution of budgeting among schools. The lack of funding is due to the uneven distribution of budgeting among schools. Often, most schools lack the means to fund their teachers' training programs, such as using out-of-date methods. According to recent research, teachers who are better trained stay in a teaching position longer than those that lack proper training. The research concludes that due to the vast disparity, factors such as the cost of schools of preparation, recruitment, induction, and the actual cost of preparing a career teacher in the more well-funded programs must be taken into account. Moreover, the lack of a current national policy to help manage the labor force in teaching contributes to the management of the school system, not to mention teacher training. Also, as we've mentioned, another problem contributing to the inconsistency of the educational system is the resource. Teachers are not given sufficient resources at times, and this affects their performance in teaching. They sometimes even have to come up with the supplies on their own. The causes of lack of resources in education includes factors such as lack of funding and corruption in the bureaucracy. Teachers in inner-city schools earn lower salaries than those in higher performance schools. Although teachers have such a paramount influence on the future of our youth, they are not valued enough to have higher salaries.
It has been long debated how we can work to solve the issues behind the inconsistencies in the education that people, notably children of our country, have been receiving. In order to solve this large issue, it is necessary to look at one of the major problems that lead into the inconsistencies in education. This would be the lack of funding and resources that school systems receive. The first solution that I would offer would be to convince the government to more evenly distribute federal funding, giving more support to educational institutions. Now, convincing the government of this would not be a simple task, and I understand that, but it would really be the simplest when you think about it as well. But to convince the government to increase the amount of money that it puts into the educational systems while decreasing the amount that it puts into other sectors of the sectors that the federal government puts monetary support into, such as the military, would be just one of the hardest things to do, probably. And there would be many steps that would have to be followed, and while there would be many people that support this decision, there would also be just as many, if not more, that would oppose it as well. The second solution that I could offer would be to help the school systems to manage what small amount of funding and resources that they already have, or to use them more responsibly and effectively. In order to help these schools learn how to manage their funds and other resources more efficiently and effectively, we would have to pay someone else to come in and do that. And while spending more money to help bring someone in seems silly while there's so little already, in the long run it would help them learn to use their money in a way that is more beneficial towards the school and the education that the students are receiving. So eventually they would actually save a lot more money up and wouldn't have so many problems with funding or resources. The final solution that I could offer would be to get the communities around the schools more involved and just make resources more available at a cheaper, more wholesale price and at a closer distance. This is already more easily done in larger communities that are more urban, so this would probably mostly be aimed at a smaller school area that a school is in. This would benefit both the community and the school, because then the community would get more business instead of all of it going to huge corporations and everything like that. So it would help boost the local economy, as well as giving schools goods that are cheaper and probably a better quality than what they could order from a company. So this would this solution would be kind of difficult, but at the same time it may be the best, and out of the three that I gave, it may be the easiest as well. In closing, I'm going to say that the lack of funding and resources with education could be solved with any of the three previously mentioned ideas, but no matter which one you picked, it wouldn't be easy. Maybe one is easier than the other, but either way, it's going to be a struggle, as it has been all of these years.
Institutions now require most teachers to have a master's degree in the subject which they are teaching. For those teachers that only have bachelor's degrees, they are encouraged to go back and obtain their master's degree. Along with making teachers have higher degrees, they also encourage teachers to take classes that improve teacher-student relationship. By improving teacher-student relationship, statistics have shown that students do better in classes. Teachers need to find ways to make the curriculum taught stick with their students. Teachers also should always have room for improvement themselves. Peak training is a program that has been created to improve students' retentiveness. The teachers go through a few weeks of training sessions on learning the peak program. With peak training, teachers bring a new and fun approach to teaching. When something hard is just accomplished, a simple and spontaneous break should be taken. During this break, softballs or frisbees are tossed throughout the classroom for a couple of minutes. When students are studying in the class, music should be played, something soft and classical. Peak training takes a unique and fun approach to teaching. Statistics have shown students having a better relationship with their teachers do better in school. There are many ways to improve a teacher-student relationship while keeping it at a professional level. A simple and easy way to improve this relationship is by making the teachers plan their course load around the students' needs and specification. And when planning, think about where the students are, what level they are on, and how they best learn from each subject because students differ. Teachers should not just focus on their students' way of learning and how to improve them, but they should also focus on how to improve themselves. There are also a few simple ways to do this. Schedule periodic evaluations of their teaching styles. The teacher can set up a video camera and record their class, and then when the day is done, they can go through the video and see what is done properly and what could be used for improvement. Teachers should also have students evaluate them how they're doing in class. Having students' feedback allows the teacher to know if their curriculum is being taught properly and if the students are following. Having a student's feedback is important because this gives the teacher the idea how their students are following and liking their way of teaching. Evaluating one's own teaching method can lead to a big improvement in the wellness of students' learning.
Solutions to the inconsistency of education are easy to achieve. The real question is, why haven't they been done yet? A summary of these solutions are evenly distributed government funding, help school systems manage what money they do have, and get the community involved. These problems can be fixed as I stated beforehand. It requires community effort, and America's children deserve an improved education.